Welcome to the Squared Away Life podcast, where we explore what it really means to live with clarity, discipline, and long-term intention. I'm Camden Busey. Now, today I'm joined by someone who's been helping creators, entrepreneurs, and leaders design freedom from the inside out, Joe Pulizzi. Joe is the founder of the Content Marketing Institute and one of the earliest voices to champion content marketing as a serious business strategy. He's a best-selling author, a builder of multiple businesses, and someone who has thought deeply about what it means to create not just for success, but for purpose. I'm so excited to have Joe on the program today. He's meant a lot to me throughout the years. He's been influential upon me and my business and everything that I do at my nonprofit, as well as here at Squared Away Life. I'm so excited to speak with him. And in this episode, we talk about Joe's newest book, though, Burn the Playbook, and what it really takes to break from the traditional scripts about careers, money, success, and even identity. Now, Joe doesn't just talk theory. He shares the honest story behind his own journey, from bouncing between temp jobs to building a company that would eventually sell for millions. But more than that, he gives a fresh framework for how to build a life and business rooted in clarity, ownership, and even the long game. Now, in our conversation, we get into what he calls your tilt, that unique angle where your passion and expertise meet a market, and how to build trust, audience, and assets around it. We talk about the need to set goals and be disciplined in pursuing them. We speak about why most people give up too early and how the best creators aren't chasing viral growth. They're actually building systems that compound and that matter. And this is a grounded, but it's an energizing conversation about what it means to build with intention and why the real reward isn't just money, but it's meaning, it's significance, it's legacy, it's flexibility, it's freedom. Before we jump into the conversation, though, I want you to get out and get yourself a copy of the book, Burn the Playbook. You can visit Joe's website, joepulizzi.com. That's JoePulizzi.com. You can find it there. While you're there, subscribe to his newsletter, The Tilt. And I also would love for you to subscribe to our Squared Away Life newsletter if you haven't already. It's where we share weekly ideas for building a focused, system-based life, from personal development all the way over to business strategy. You can sign up online at squaredawaylife.com. And if you sign up, I'll send you a free pre-publication ebook copy of my forthcoming book, The Compounding Mind, in which I reveal a simple, repeatable system for building lifelong knowledge equity so you can think clearly, stay focused, and keep your life on track. All right, let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Joe Pulizzi. All right, Joe, it's so good to see you. Thanks for joining me today. I'm looking forward to talking about the new book.
Camden, it is always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. And we get into some really good topics here.
Yes. We've had some good conversations and love meeting you in person. I've been coming to the Creator Economy Expo was the original title, or the one of the titles, CEX, over the last 4 years. Yeah. And I've been a longtime follower and listener of This Old Marketing, your podcast with Robert Rose. And we've even had some conversations about your Cleveland Browns. I think we've got a showdown with the Chicago Bears coming up. I think we need to do an homage to This Old Marketing, at least have like 1 minute of football talk up front.
I wish I was your Bears right now. I know you've struggled in the past few years. I totally get it. Right. But you are definitely on the upswing now. So I'm happy for you.
For now.
Thank you. I like Caleb. I like the new coaching scheme. I like what they got going on.
Yeah.
So,
well, our coach is taking his shirt off in the locker room. He's flexing his ripped muscles to earn free hot dogs for the city. So what more could you want? I don't know if you know what,
and it's absolutely. You deserve everything. I'm going to be rooting for you in the playoffs. So that's
thanks. We're looking forward to it. And the Bears have had some rough years, but I feel for you and the Browns. I mean, we haven't lost our franchise for several years. I mean, and dealt with the financial mismanagement and the quarterback quandaries that you deal with. But we've had our own quarterback issues over the years. But we've got some happier, nicer things to talk about today, especially with your book, Burn the Playbook. I think maybe some of the Cleveland Browns front office might stand to benefit from reading this book. I love this book. I really appreciate this and kind of not a new direction. You've been thinking and talking about a lot of this stuff over the years, even through the Content Marketing Institute. It's always kind of been in the background, but you've really brought so many life lessons together. You call this book a match, not a manual. I'm wondering what moment in your life kind of made you feel like this was the time to burn the playbook.
As you know, I wrote this for my two kids. They're
Yeah.
now 22 and 24. And, you know, I mean, anyone who has kids, they often listen to other people more than their parental units,
Yep.
which is totally fine. You find your mentors anywhere. But I wanted to leave them with something that I really believed was happening, was going to happen, how I want them to live their lives. So this book is absolutely for a marketer and a content creator and an entrepreneur. But I really believe that anyone could get a lot out of it just from the fact that we're going through a very unique time
Mm-hmm.
with AI, with
Mm-hmm.
changes in the economy, with changes globally.
Society.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Society, it's a lot of unease going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know about you, but you know, I talk to my kids' friends a lot, and they come, you know, they're struggling with what major to choose because we don't know what jobs or careers are out there.
Mm-hmm.
What is a career anymore?
Totally.
Maybe a lot more short-term thinking going on than long-term thinking. So I really believe that because of all those changes, I think that we need to adapt to a completely new system. And I've seen, I don't know about like your extended family, your aunts
Mm-hmm.
and uncles, and maybe some a different generation or older generations around
Mm-hmm.
you, but a lot of people are living in with a playbook that's incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
It's just flat out wrong. We're living for what we thought existed in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s,
Yep.
where you still say, oh, okay, I'm going to go through this general education and then I'm going to go to and get my college degree and then I'm going to go get my job and this is going to be my career. Those things are gone now. They do
Mm-hmm.
not exist the way that we're seeing them anymore. And then especially if you look at, and look, I'm I'm an optimist right now when it comes to artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm. Me too.
but and I think you have to be, or
Well, you
else
can't
you'll
be
be
100%,
defeatist.
but yeah,
You don't. Nobody knows,
nobody
right? We
knows.
don't know. We're
Right.
guessing. We're guessing what's going on. But I'm fairly certain that the majority of knowledge work that's happening right now
Mm-hmm.
is within 3 to 5 years is not going to be there. Like
Yeah.
work as we know it.
Right.
I don't know if we're going into a Wall-E type reality.
I
I'm not
hope not.
saying that.
Yeah.
We don't. Nobody knows that. But I know that. Uh, okay, I've been in marketing for 25 years. Uh, Most of the things that I did from a strategic and consulting standpoint over the
Yes.
last decade, I let's be honest, ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini can do it in a snap, and really well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we could talk about the misinformation and the delusions and all that. Yes, it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good
Mm-hmm.
today. I have no idea where it's going to be in a year or 2 years.
Right.
I was listening to a podcast the other day. Somebody wanted to become a surgeon, and there was this conversation, and the person said, "Do I want to spend 7 years learning about becoming a surgeon when I know for a fact, this person's words, not mine, when I know for a fact that job is going to be done by a computer or a robot or whatever, or AI, whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
and 1,000 times better than I could ever do." And so it's this. So long story short, and I'm rambling, but the whole point of this thing is we need to prepare ourselves for a new reality,
Mm-hmm.
and that means thinking about what's important to us, how we reach our goals, the things that we tell ourselves, like I think living in however you define it, a life of service in
Yeah.
some way, where
Yeah.
you serve a community of people. And those are the types of things that I wanted my kids to know about. And there's some things that work for me, that work for
Yeah.
you, that work for a lot of people, that says, I think if we're going to live a life in this AI, post AI, whatever it becomes environment, we can still do a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still amazing things that we can accomplish, but we're not going to accomplish with the thinking that we had 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Well, I couldn't agree more. My kids are a bit younger than yours. I don't. My oldest is still only 14, but in a couple of years, he'll be heading off to college, and I'm trying to prepare them for the future. And I compare what's going on now to perhaps the world my father was raised up in. My dad was born in 1952, and he worked 42 years at the same company. I mean,
Wow.
that was the thought. He was a very loyal guy, steady worker, but I mean, it's unheard of for anyone in any, the last several generations to do something like that. And that was the expectation back then. You'd have to get a job at a good, stable company, you get a pension, and you just put your time in, you punch the clock for 40 years, and then you're not going to be, changing the world with that. But at the same time, you'll probably have a steady income. You'll be able to feed your kids. You'll live the American dream, perhaps have a house, and your kids will be better off than you, and you'll be stable. And that's what he was always after, to provide and to have a life of stability, with expected inputs and an expected output. And I'm thinking you're right. We got to burn the playbook. That we've had several iterations of the playbook since then. But even today with AI, things are so different. And I'm thinking, how do I prepare my kids for this future world? And it's hard to know because we don't know what types of jobs will even exist, but we need to focus on what is truly human, what our objective is. I think even if nobody's working anymore for a paycheck, and I think we will, but even if the future happens such that there's universal basic income or whatever, there's still work. Work is part of human dignity and nobility. So even if you aren't working for pay, I still think there's something human about a work ethic and doing things in service of others, and also just doing things for the sake of doing them. So what am I trying to do? I'm learning lessons from books like yours, but I'm also trying to teach my kids transferable skills, and especially entrepreneurship. You have to have self-agency. You have to make your own future. You have to have ownership, build assets. And I'm just working backwards from there. I know what this looks like in industry and in business. How does this look for a college kid? How does it look for a high school kid? How does it look for a junior high kid? And you start doing little things, getting them to flex those muscles and develop them.
So you're so right. I think that what feels different, like when I was, I graduated from high school in 91, and the talk was always, all right, what are the good paying jobs? What are the good careers?
Right.
What are the, and that was probably the right thing to do, because we wanted, to your point, we wanted to make more than our parents did. We want to live whatever the American dream was. Today, we don't know. Like you could say,
Right.
like, it's funny, just a few years ago, I remember having a conversation with my nephew about thinking computer programming has got to be the safest place to be.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, you're always going to need programmers. Oops.
Yeah.
I'm wrong about that too.
Right.
Like we don't actually, because AI is going to do that too. So we're at a point now, which is in a lot of ways, it's liberating, where I'm talking to my kids saying, all right, what do you love and what are you good at? Like, don't worry about what jobs are going to be around. Like, what do you love to do? And what are you better than most at? And these are the things and we talk about this in the book, like finding your tilt, finding the thing that differentiates you, and write those things down. And Adam Alter talks about the recombination. And we talk about this in the book. You take those things and you mix them together, and you can create some really impressive combinations that work for you, whatever that's going to be. And it just so happens that if we're looking for what the opportunities are going to be in the next 5 to 10 years, looking at what you're good at and what you love to do, it's a lot of it is around working with people, like in-person things, real experiences outside the phone. Because I think and I talked about this recently in my newsletter. You're seeing two very different types of people. For one, you're seeing, all right, people that still want to work. And they're doing things that challenge that they're starting to learn how to play an instrument. They're learning a language. They're doing recipes that are very complex. Like we really need that as human beings. And you get that group of people. That's very exciting what's going on there. And then you got a whole other group of people that is just consuming non-stop. the Wall-E generation, if you
Right.
will. And
Right.
I see a real differentiation of
Yeah.
those two people. And by the way, it's a tragedy on the one side, but I don't think that's going to change because
Mm.
AI and the biggest 7 companies in the world are trying to set up at least the citizens of the United States to just consume nonstop so
Mm-hmm.
they can monetize this thing, which
The
is
attention
scary in and of
economy.
itself, and probably a whole other episode we can
Yeah.
talk about. But I do think, and this, so I'm really excited about the opportunity that's on one side. So hey, go after it,
Mm-hmm.
like absolutely go after something that you're good at or passionate at. Do it, because I was never that guy that said if you're passionate about something, go for it. I was always like, if you're passionate about it and there's people hiring for it, or you
Right.
can build a business out of it, great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm passionate about baseball cards, but I couldn't figure out how to make a living out of it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
kept it as a hobby. So anyways, I think you're going to see those two groups of people as kind of your major groups of people
Mm-hmm.
that are just finding these experiences and learning how to build businesses around them, and other ones that are just going to feed the beast that is the AI economy, if you will.
Sure. And if we're not a doomer, or there other maybe another third group that's just relegates themselves to just giving up and not even trying to make a
Yep.
future, that's living in depression, and that's sad too. We don't know what's going to happen, but I choose to be an optimist such as you. I think uh, there's a lot of bright days ahead of us if we use these tools rightly and with good intent. We'll see. I'd love to pick up on a comment you made, and it's an essential comment, or it's essential concept in the book here, Burn the Playbook, but it's also something you've dealt with in Content Inc., a book that was hugely influential on me, that I've really used the strategy therein for content marketing in everything I do, not just the nonprofit I run, but also this outfit I'm building right now. This really fits into how you need to find your way and make your way in life, thinking about your sons, my sons, how you want to be entrepreneurial, how you want to get out there and make opportunities for yourself. You need to find your niche. In some business classes, we might call it a specific differentiation, but you have your own angle on that, so to speak, your own tilt on that concept that you do call the tilt. I wonder if you could explain that to our viewers and listeners, especially to someone who feels passionate but maybe unsure of how they are unique.
Sure.
How can they find their own tilt?
Yeah, the tilt came from the Content Inc. model. It's a book that I wrote initially in 15 and rewrote in
Mm-hmm.
21. And so the content tilt was sort of the core to how you break out from a content marketing or a marketing standpoint. It's like, hey,
Totally.
if you're going to do something, you can't fit in with all the other content. You have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself, to break through all the clutter, because
Mm-hmm.
there's more content every day than ever before. So how are we going to break through? And we
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, you have to find your tilt. You have to find that content tilt. So what is that area of differentiation? And basically what you do is you figure out we talked a little bit about this a second ago. You
Mm-hmm.
figure out what's that thing that you're an expert in, the things that you know as a company or as a business more than most. And then on the other side, you figure out, okay, who am I targeting? What is their pain point? What keeps them up at night? And you sort of look at those two together and say, oh, okay, that's fine. You come up with some kind of a solution to a problem.
Yeah.
So let's say that you're in HVAC, you
Mm-hmm.
might say, oh, well, we know about energy quality and energy efficiency. Well, my customers they're concerned about energy efficiency, so that's something I could talk about. And you say, okay, well, that's
Yeah.
sort of my sweet spot. That's not really a tilt, but we're getting there. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's something. uh, Every other HVAC person's going to be talking about the same thing. How are you going to break through? So that's when it comes into your tilt. How are you going to do it a little bit different? Do you have a great sense of humor? Do you use customer testimonials in a different way, talking about energy efficiency? Maybe you're not talking about energy efficiency at all. You're talking about something else over here, like indoor air quality that nobody's
Mm-hmm.
talking about, whatever. So the whole point about this thing, and it's whether you want to call it like your mission
Mm-hmm.
statement, your purpose, you have to figure out what's the thing that you do different than anyone else, that you sort of add to the service of the purpose of the people that you're trying to target.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier, like when you're talking about as a content creator and you're like, oh, who's my audience? Okay, what keeps them up at night? How am I going to talk about this thing and break through? There's 1,000 other
Yeah.
creators focusing on this area. What am I going to do that's different? So, if I go back to when we started Content Marketing Institute, that was an easy one. It's like nobody called it content marketing. So we didn't make up the term, but we sort of said, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to call it content
You
marketing
owned
because
it.
we think that's good.
Yeah.
We think that's going to resonate with people
Right.
a little bit more than calling it custom media or custom publishing or corporate
Inbound.
communications or member media or inbound or whatever. Marketers want to call it something marketing, content marketing. It's very simple, but it makes sense. We're going to go after that. That's how we differentiated. That was our content tilt. And we were just ran with that. So I think that if we're talking about you're a business, you need this, or if you're an individual, you need this, especially moving on because, hey, we're competing with everybody in that area is in order to break through. And this is why I think Burn the Playbook is so important right now. When we lose our access to audiences, which is happening right now because people are going to AI, they're going to search, which is becoming AI directed search, and their social media, they want to take away our direct access to any audience. They're not doing it because they're hateful or evil people. They're doing it because that's their business model.
Yeah, that's their motivation.
Yeah. YouTube wants to keep people on YouTube. Facebook, Meta wants to keep people on their platforms. It makes perfect sense. That means they don't like you having an e-newsletter. They don't like having you an SMS communication strategy with them. They don't like you necessarily doing an in-person event, which is outside of their platform's area of focus. So they can't reach that. So that's why now is the best time, or I want to say it's the best time, but maybe it's a
more important than
survival.
ever.
Yeah, more important than ever, where we build whatever audience we can so we can be known when we lose access to audiences. And that's why, I wrote this, I don't know, a couple months ago, where I really believe that we have 3 years or less, of the opportunity to build a direct audience in some way. So this all works together, right? So I want to find my tilt, my differentiation area.
Right.
I'm going to start communicating that, and however I can, but we're talking about maybe an email newsletter or video series or a podcast or membership or something, so that we can build this audience so that when this new reality just blankets everybody, it's okay. You're known.
You have relationships.
You have relationships. And that's the whole point is, why do we have an e-newsletter? We have an e-newsletter so we can build direct relationships. Why do we do an event, or why do we go to events? We go to events so we can build direct relationships. So direct the whole thing. So we were going to sum up this whole strategy in the end of the day. The most important thing is a relationship with another human being. The more of those you have, the more known you are, the more opportunities you will have to monetize whatever you're going to monetize and build a business for yourself.
Precisely. Yeah, the core of all this was revolutionary to me back in maybe 2014 when I found Content Inc. and This Old Marketing. I still can't remember. I was reflecting on this morning. I still can't remember which I found first, but they both were very critical to me. And I have a very distinct memory of where I was driving and where I was at what moment I was at listening to you and Robert, and something just clicked for me. I mean, I went to business school. I have an MBA. I did lots of marketing classes, all this kind of stuff back in the day, but you really crystallized and put a discipline and a system, a strategy together for something that I was kind of doing implicitly, but it wasn't in a structured, disciplined way. And when you boil it all down, perhaps I'm going to get this wrong, but this is the way I conceive about the content marketing model and why I think it's so effective, is first off, you have to, as you guys say all the time, never build your house on rented land. That's just dumb. So you have to have an owned audience and an addressable audience. And if you don't know people's name, but especially if you don't have their email address, their phone number, or their physical address, that's not your audience. I mean, you might be accessing people. You might have millions of subscribers through a podcast or your YouTube channel, but if things change there or that goes away, there's no way for you to contact those people and you don't know who they are. So even if you're starting on another platform, you need to have ways, and there's all sorts of digital marketing and traditional marketing techniques for moving people to a list or an audience that you can address. You have to have that. But even more basic to that, and this is what is really revolutionary, it's that your marketing is something that people want. In other words, what you do is you develop an audience first before a product, ideally. And then as you develop an audience and you're providing to them unique content, a unique value add through your tilt, they will eventually tell you what they want to buy from you. and it flips everything on its head. And so this is where you tease this out and have been for 10, 12 years is it's really at every business can and should have what boils down to the same business model as a media company in that regard. When you own that audience, you're providing content, resources, and solving their problems. They will tell you what they want, and then you go and provide it. That's the model.
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better.
Well, you have. I got it from you.
That's exactly the model. But you know what's so funny? If you talk to most entrepreneurs and most marketers, they don't inherently get that.
It's frustrating
because they're always thinking. It's almost like if you're having a conversation with somebody, you're always thinking about the thing that you want to say. That's generally how a marketer is, right? It's like, I'm not really listening to you because I'm going to one up you because I'm listening. I'm ready to say something else. With content marketing, you are inherently listening to your audience and you want to know their deepest pain points because you are going to solve that, not with a product or service. You're going to solve that with information. And what I love about this whole model, if you use it with any kind of business, is a lot of marketers and salespeople will think that the transaction, the selling itself means like, okay, great. Check that box. I'm going to go out and get another one and another one and another one. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. It's like, what you want is a forever customer. You build a forever customer by giving them information far beyond what you sell. Like, over and above what you could possibly sell through a product. So they become to know, like, and trust you. Then once they know, like, and trust you, to your point, they will tell you what they want, or you'll be able to solve it through this, and this. It's funny when you listen to, Marcus Sheridan. Marcus Sheridan, the former pool guy. He used this whole method to sell more fiberglass pools. But what he realized in doing this whole thing, he realized that the bigger opportunity and the bigger ask was they just didn't want people to, the opportunity was more than just selling somebody else's pool. People were saying, I want this kind of pool and this kind of pool and things that didn't exist. So River Pools and Spas, which was just installing fiberglass pools, became a manufacturer from the feedback from the audience. And that's what took them to the next level. And so it's just like, you don't believe these things can actually happen until they actually happen. So those are the types of, and this is, we could talk about it for marketing. We could talk about it for content creators, but I think it's just any person today. Like, you should, whether you like to do arts and crafts, whether you like computer stuff, whether you're IT, whatever, there is a group of people that wants to hear from you. And whether or not maybe you don't like to write, so maybe your thing is audio, and maybe you're good on a camera, so maybe it's video. So there's lots of different ways that you can choose and say, I'm going to put out this information. It's a little bit risky. It feels a little bit dangerous.
It does.
But once you get through those first couple and you work it out and you say, oh, this is resonating, you've got something, then your options for creating an economic path for yourself and your family, they just multiply. And you just have to start it to get there. A lot of people just
some people might hear this, or they hear a lot of the creator economy stuff, and they might just, well, that's good for the people that are good on camera, or that's good for the people that want their face to be known and they want to be YouTubers. It's like, well, maybe that isn't for you. But developing relationships, that's applicable to everything. Right. And you need to find out what you're passionate about, but also how you can provide value to others. And you can use that whether or not you're in front of a camera or a microphone. And those, I think, are just fundamental business skills that should be implemented, from the top all the way to the bottom of the org chart. And that's also stuff that, as you get better at it and as you develop these relationships, that's stuff that you can own to a degree. Even if you move from company to company, you still have your professional network if you're not a jerk and you burn bridges.
That's right.
That's the kind of stuff that can help and last. And those are the more abstract kind of meta qualities I'm trying to instill into my boys, so that, they, no matter what happens in the future, they have, an arsenal of skills, so to speak, that would translate to different possible futures.
Well, and what's a lot of people don't, I'll give you an example of me. Like, when I started the business in 2007 and I would go to like different trade shows and different activities in public, was very difficult. Like I come across, I'm an extrovert. But I do not like to go to, even I put on events for 20 years, but I don't naturally like to go to events and like introduce myself to people and do the things you have to do. And I'm like, well, what do I have to do? Like I have to do these things, or I could be of service to people and deliver information to them that's going to help make their lives better, easier, help them get better jobs in some way. And I can go to that same event and everything is so much easier. And I don't want to like say this egotistically, but by like 2010, I could go to an event and just stand there and people would come up to me because they're like, thanks for the blog post. Thanks for the e-newsletter.
Yeah.
Love what you did with the book. Like those types of things. And I'm like, oh, it just, and then actually building a business from that is thousands of times easier because people know, like, and trust you already.
Yeah.
To your point, you could do anybody can do this in any industry. It just makes your life so much easier. And what are you doing? It's not rocket science. You're just saying, what problem does that person have? And I know the answer to it, or even better yet, I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm going to be open about it. And I'm going to put something out there and expose myself, and I'm going to try to help, and in doing so, help other people.
Yeah.
It's good for anybody can use this.
Yeah, it's been said by many people, but if there are listeners or viewers out there wondering, how do I get started? Where do I go? I'm passionate about lots of things. Well, it's been said by many, but a great place to start is try to help your former self. Just think about things you've learned over time and things that you've struggled with and lessons that you've learned. The best person you're situated to help is who you used to be. And if you address those people, just start there. If you're still passionate about that and motivated, if that keeps you up, these lessons might seem simple to you. They might seem like, well, can't anyone figure this out? No, they can't. And you're saving people time if you share the lessons you've already learned. That's an easy place to start. But there's lots of struggles. One thing you write here in the book, you're talking quite a bit about systems, repetition. You're also talking about belief and goal setting. And I really appreciate the way you address a lot of these themes in the book. One thing you hammer on in one of the chapters is that belief must come before proof. And this is really difficult. And I'm wondering if you might expand on this, because I think it's a very difficult concept, especially when so many people expect immediate results. But even more than that, they also expect kind of instant external validation. And neither of those may come for a while. So how do you begin when you don't get those things?
Well, I have a couple of things to respond to that, but if you look at a content marketing program, people will say, Joe, why do content marketing programs fail? They fail for two reasons. One, they don't have a differentiation area. They don't have a content tilt. The other thing is they stop.
They're not consistent.
They stop. Right? So a lot of the things that we talk about in the book are things that will help keep you going.
Yeah. Right.
Because when we go to events like CEX and Macon, the AI event, things like that, I look around, I'm like, wow, these people are so smart. They're so, like, that person, how'd they not make it yet? And then I know the answer. Yeah. It's not because I'm any smarter or better or whatever. It's just, I kept going. That's literally it. It's like, you just outlast. It's just like, how do you,
it's a war of attrition.
It is like, how do you get to run a marathon? I remember when I did a marathon a couple of years ago, and people say, how did you do that? I said, I remember 10 years ago, I couldn't run a half mile.
Me neither.
I got tired. It's just you get up every day to run a little bit longer. That's it. It's the same. It's like, how do you build an audience of 60,000 people or whatever it's in there? It's like, you know what? I wrote a newsletter, and then I wrote one the next week and the next week. And now 5 years later, I'm still writing it. Yeah. That's it. So on your belief thing, so there's no easy answers. I mean, that's why I hammer on this whole idea of belief, because the thing that's going to get mostly in your way is that you don't think you can do it. You give up, and you got a whole world of people around you that really don't want you to succeed. And not in a mean way, again. They just don't. Like the group around you generally wants it. They may be friends. Like we talk about this, and how to build a team around you that's going to lift you up. Like, you have to look around you and say, are these people lifting me up? Yeah. Are they adding to? Do they help me believe the thing I want to do? And I tell a story where we were launching Content Marketing World. This was in 2010. Content marketing wasn't a thing at the point. And
Right.
I had this belief that
Yeah.
this was going to be the largest physical event in content marketing in the world,
Yeah.
that nothing ever existed like it before. There'd been a couple workshops, but there was nothing around there. And I go and I tell my friend group,
Yeah.
and I say, and I announce, I said, Pam, my wife and I, we're going to launch this event. It's going to be this big thing. It's going to be September 11th of 2011 and whatever. And we're going to do this thing. And I had one of my friends made a joke and said, well, where are you and the 27 other people going to be? As a joke. And they always made jokes. And that's fine. I laughed it off. But I didn't talk to that person for a while because I don't need that kind of negativity around me.
Yeah.
It's just like, I need people that are going to lift me up because this stuff's hard.
Yeah.
This is very, very difficult. So the whole point is about writing these things down. And I didn't come up with this line, but I use it all the time. I say, if you can't write it down, you can't have it.
Mm-hmm. Write
down what you want. And if you write that down and you review that every day, you review it when you get up in the morning, and you review it before you go to sleep at night, and you let that subconsciously work while you're sleeping. You get up with that and you believe it. You start believing it. You don't know how. You haven't seen all the signposts yet. You don't exactly know the complete strategy, but you know this is what you're going to do. You do the work every day. You got close to that goal and you make it happen. And it's the same thing. And I could talk about 10 different things that I've done in my career, but probably the biggest one from the book was in 2008, where we got no money. I got kids that are 4 and 6 years old. I just left an executive position in publishing. My wife left her job because she's staying at home with the kids. We literally have nothing going on. And I wrote down in my journal, and this is January 2008, I said, I sold my company in 2015 for $15 million.
And you're writing in the either present or the past tense.
I'm writing it either like it already happened or it's present.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, because I want to read that like, yeah, it's happening.
Every day, twice a day.
It's happening. It's happening. I'll say, it's happening, sweetheart. Like, we're going to make it happen. We're going to do this. And I read that before I went to sleep every night and in the morning. And I made decisions, some consciously, some not consciously, but because I knew what that goal was and that belief was around the strategy of how we formed Content Marketing Institute. And we didn't hit the goal, and we didn't make it in 2015, but we did it. We did it in 2000. We were in the process, but in July of 2016, we sold for a bit more than $15 million, and we hit that goal. And then I went on to other things because we accomplished that goal. But it's like, write it down. You have to ingrain in yourself that you believe that, and you have, and it's funny, like you've talked to, you talk about some of these things. I talk about some of these things, but when you write these things down and you review them and you start to believe them, they actually start to exist. Like it's like, you think it's like this magical fairy tale stuff. And when you talk about it with people, they're like, that just seems silly. Like, what kind of witchcraft what is this? I'm like, no, literally you are creating your own world.
Right.
You have the opportunity and control to do that. But if you don't believe it and you don't create a system around it and you don't get people around you that help lift you up instead of knock you down, you're going to have problems. So that's really there's probably like 5 chapters in the book that's all about those 3 things we just covered.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. And I love the treatment in the book about that. And it motivates me all the more to be a lot more disciplined with my goals. I do set goals, I do review them, but it's not every morning, every evening, and that needs to change. But, I'll even write stuff in a dry erase marker on my mirror in my bathroom. My wife is not maybe a huge fan of me marking up that mirror, but I could put something in there and I see it multiple times a day.
Maybe Post-it notes.
Maybe that'd be better. But I agree with you. A lot of people talk about manifesting and that sort of thing. I'm not a fan of the metaphysical aspects of that. I have my own personal, religious and spiritual commitments and thoughts about ontology and what the Lord is doing. But I agree entirely about reviewing the goals and doing so, because I think what that does at the bare minimum is when you do that consciously and subconsciously, you're ordering yourself toward that desired future. And whether you know it or not, your mind is going to be working on these things. You're going to make decisions. You're going to behave differently. You're going to order your life toward that goal. Your mind doesn't necessarily make the differentiation between your present state and your future state when you're repeating these goals. And there's a way to program yourself. And if you're not reviewing those goals, you're getting programmed by something else. Another reason why, you're such a big advocate for creating before consuming in the morning. And I'm a big fan of that and a practitioner of that as well. You got to mark off that time and retain your own agency and move forward toward your goals. And if you're not controlling that and moving forward towards your goals, you're going to get somebody else's goals. You're going to get programmed by somebody else. And that's, I think, what most people do when they lead a consumptive life. And they're being controlled by somebody else's agenda.
And by the way, we talk in the book about creating a personal time audit too.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people that I've talked to about this, and a lot of entrepreneurs that I coach through, I say, do a time audit through the week, because they don't realize how much time they're spending consuming and living out somebody else's goals, building somebody else's business model besides your own. And and you get caught up, and I do too. Everybody does. Like, if you have a smartphone, sometimes you get caught up in things, or I go down the YouTube rabbit hole with AI or something. But if you start to look at it, like, I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and they were on TikTok a lot. And I said, how much time do you actually spend on TikTok? She says, 2 hours a day. Something like that. And I said, go look at your phone, because you can look at it and see how much time. She spends between 6 and 7 hours per day. And these are the same people that I'm talking to that say they don't have time to do something, which that's my biggest pet peeve. It's like, oh, like, can you do that or whatever? It's like, oh, I don't have time to write a newsletter. I don't have time. I'm like, let's look at your phone. Let's see what, and I'm not doing it to judge. I'm just doing it to show them, because some people are not aware. They really think they've sold themselves that programming that they are too busy to do something different instead of consume. So I just think that, oh man, we have this huge opportunity. So sometimes you need to clean slate it. And Aristotle called it tabula rasa, like clean slate. You need to wipe it clean so that you can restart. And I'll leave you with this little point on that one. Like, I'm really big on, because I've been talking about it lately, about this no sugar thing. Oh yeah. Because I've read that, the Alzheimer's is in my family, and I've read that sugar is a really big culprit, and it leads to brain poisoning or dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that. And so I am a person that doesn't eat added sugar. I don't eat sugar. Like, I don't eat desserts anymore. And so it's funny, like, when we'll go out with friends and they're like, we're going to go out for ice cream or whatever we're going to do. Right. And I'm like, I'm happy to go, but I don't have anything. And they look at me like I'm the big poo-pooer. Like, Joe doesn't want, you're not going to do that.
You're too good for us. Yeah.
You're too good. Yeah. You're too good, sugar boy, no sugar boy, or whatever they'll do. And I'm like, I'm a person that doesn't eat sugar. This is the kind of thing we're talking about. Like, who are you? Yeah. Are you and you could do it with working out too. I'm a person that works out 5 times a week. I'm a person that runs 4 times a week. Like, and you tell yourself that, and then it keeps yourself accountable, because once you break that, then you're like, oh, well, I guess I am I guess when the going is tough and I got peer pressure on me, I give in and I have pie or sugar or whatever. So it's these types of things that you can actually, and that's the most difficult part. It's actually the not eating sugar or working out or whatever. Those things, you're just creating habits out of it. It's starting the habit and then telling yourself that's the kind of person you want to be. That's the tough part. And then you create the habit, and then that's just you. You're that person. And you see the change over time.
You have to live out that identity. You have to decide where you want to go, where you want to be, who you want to become, and you have to live out that identity. And it requires sacrifice. You can't have everything. You can't be healthy and eat garbage. You can't have both. And so that's a simple answer, but the same is true no matter what field we're talking about, professionally, personally, health-wise. You have to make trade-offs, and you have to decide what's most important to you, and then make the necessary changes and sacrifices to get there. It just doesn't happen accidentally. People don't fall into this type of thing. So I admire you for that. I know I only have you for a couple more minutes, but I'd like to ask you at least one concluding question
Sure.
about legacy. That's something important. You know, you started writing this book in large measure thinking about your sons, and they're starting their own careers. But this book really emphasizes and advocates for a measure of personal freedom, but it does advocate for service and legacy. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on legacy, heritage, and passing something down for future generations, whether that, you know, is informational or aspirational or financial. What does that mean to you, and how do you think about those things with respect to the themes here in Burn the Playbook?
Well, now I think about it every day
Mm.
because I create content in service of other people, and just because I want them to find their personal freedom. I want them to build generational wealth, and whatever that means to them.
Mm.
I want them to create a business that revolves around serving a community in some way. So I would say probably early in my career, I was very focused on the money aspect because I wanted to I was like, I have to take care of my family. Like that is a thing. I probably went too far in that direction, Camden. Like I was like, all right, okay, great. And we, you know, it's in the book, and how I went through that, and I accomplished that and whatever. And that was important to build that generational wealth, and great. And then you're like, okay, well, now what?
Now what?
It's like, okay, Joe, you know, like you did that.
Mm-hmm.
And now and that's where the events help, because sometimes when you create a lot of online content, and I'm creating online like you are every day, I create some piece of online content. I write it, I do a podcast, I do a video, something like that. And in my head is a person who is struggling, maybe the former me, like you said, but it's somebody in the community that I'm writing to or talking to, that I'm trying to help them reach their goals. And I believe that if the more people that I can affect with something and help them find their meaning and help them build freedom in some way, then I'm doing my small part. So that's my whole thing. I mean, that's the whole mission of the Tilt right now, is in helping entrepreneurs find meaning, freedom, and wealth. That's what I do. So I do that a lot of different ways. We have our nonprofit Orange Effect that we focus on from a service standpoint, that helps kids who need speech therapy or speech technology devices that they can't afford themselves. You know, I've got the Tilt newsletter, which goes out weekly. There's no monetary goal behind that. We're reaching 60,000 creators and entrepreneurs every week with something about what's going on right now with AI, with content creation, with all the things, actually everything that we talked about today that we're struggling with, to help them keep their goals and to find their goals and to accomplish their goals. And I believe the more that we do that, then they'll pass it on. Like if I can affect one person, I wonder how many people that person's going to affect.
Yeah, it's
and I really believe in the whole pay it forward thing. I'm a big thing on the whole pay it forward thing. And the downside is I only hear about the things unless somebody tells me. Like I'll get an email response, or I'll see somebody in an event, or you and I will talk, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm making a difference. But a lot of times as a content creator, you don't hear that stuff. So sometimes I go out searching for it. I'm like, am I talking about the right things here? And I'll ask the audience, hey, am I hitting the mark on this? Where are you struggling at? And I say, I call it putting out listening posts. Like, how can I put out more of those listening posts so that I can get that information, so that I can come back with information and help those people. So on that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, is I'm just trying to help as many people as I can. My wife, it's funny to see how we treat legacy differently, because she's out there, she's taking people every day to see the doctor. She goes to doctor's appointments. She helps them, you know, with their daily routines. She's volunteering today, making cookies for people. Like she does very hands-on stuff. And I'm like, man, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I just wrote an article, you know, like that are very different. I have to put it into a little bit of perspective, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
No, I appreciate it though. And I'm thankful for everything you've done. And I've, you know, for the last 10, 12 years, I've been very appreciative and seeing the different chapters, even in your own life, unfold from a distance. So I'm thankful for you. I've always been thankful for you and your your partner in crime, so to speak, Robert Rose on This Old
Yeah.
Marketing. That's where my home is every Friday morning when I'm out for a run, preparing for, my long runs. I'm always listening to you guys, and especially lately, Robert doing his Suno thing with his
He's
with his
having
audio.
fun.
But
He's
you're
loving it.
the newsletter has been really effective to me. So I'm one of the 60,000 who's reading and benefiting, and soon enough, the 60,000 will tell you what we need. So at least take my voice for a minute, saying keep it up and keep moving forward. I really appreciate you, Joe. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes and being my first guest on this program. I've been doing a lot of solo stuff, but I'm really honored to have you. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, you're a pro, man, and I'm very excited for you, and I'm thankful for you, and I'm welcome to come back anytime.
Well, thanks, Joe.
You got it.
I really enjoyed that conversation. I hope you did as well. If something Joe said today resonated with you, if you're feeling the pull to break out of old systems and build something more aligned with your values and your goals, I highly recommend picking up a copy of his book, Burn the Playbook. It's practical, it's bold, and it's full of the kind of perspective that helps you move forward with purpose. You can also learn more about Joe and his work at joepulizzi.com, joepulizzi.com. You can get a copy of the book there. But while you're there, be sure also to subscribe to The Tilt, his excellent newsletter for content creators and entrepreneurs. It's one of the few emails I make sure to read every single week. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the Squared Away Life newsletter. Each week, I share focused insights to help you build systems promoting focus, discipline, and long-term momentum in your work and in your life. And when you sign up, you'll also get a free pre-pub digital copy of The Compounding Mind, my guide to restoring focus, building lasting clarity, and gaining creative leverage through intentional thinking. You can subscribe at squaredawaylife.com. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, stay focused, stay intentional, and keep building what truly matters.